wow, this is kind of a doozy because Putin's got quite an accusation that he's leveling on the United States of America right now, and specifically against our CIA. So this is there's a lot of stuff to share from, a lot of stuff and a lot of places to go, but I think we should probably look at the big kahuna first. I want to share with you some behind the scenes. Tucker was kind enough, shall we say. I like him and I love that he did this interview. I don't agree with him on everything. We used to hold shows opposite each other because I was on like the little red-headed stepchild network. That would be Fox Business at 8:00, and he was on the big show on Fox News. But I definitely respect him and admire him for being willing to go over there with all of the odds stacked against him and the mainstream media out with knives, literally. And I mean, for goodness sakes, when you get Hillary Clinton on the attack, sitting down and telling members of the media all kinds of things about you, that's not a really good place to be. And, the funny thing for the mainstream media and for the leftists that want everybody to just ignore this as though it never happened, the funny thing is they actually elevated this. So, Tucker's going over there. He's going to do this interview. And, maybe people would have listened. Maybe they wouldn't have. But gosh darn it, weren't you going to listen once John Kirby over at the White House told you shouldn't? Yeah, I mean, it's like they need to take a parenting course or something there, those crazy folks on the left. But, and I want to show you all that. But before we do, again, back to this headline here, because this is a big accusation. And these rumors have been swirling and swirling and swirling and swirling because nobody can really make sense of what happened with Nordstream, remember? Well, Putin thinks he has the answers. I'm not so sure of that, but it's worth hearing. Again, in the interest of all the information being out there, I'm never going to hide anything from you. I don't believe anything should ever be hidden from Americans. We need to hear all sides and then make our own determination. Let's watch Tucker Carlson with Vladimir Putin.
You for sure.
I was busy that day. Nate, do you have I did not blow up Nordstream. Thank you, though.
У вас лично, может быть, есть алиби, у вас лично.
You personally may have an alibi, but the CIA has no such alibi.
Do you have evidence that NATO or the CIA did it?
Знаете,
I won't get into details, but people always say in such cases, look for someone who is interested. But in this case, we should not only look for someone who is interested, but also for someone who has capabilities. Because there may be many people interested, but not all of them are capable of sinking to the bottom of the Baltic Sea and carrying out this explosion. These two components should be connected. Who is interested and who is capable of doing it?
But I'm confused. I mean, that's the biggest act of industrial terrorism ever, and it's the largest emission of CO2 in history. Okay, so if you had evidence, and presumably given your security services, your intel services, you would, that NATO, the U.S., CIA, the West, did this, why wouldn't you present it and win a propaganda victory?
In the war of propaganda, it is very difficult to defeat the United States, because the United States controls all the world's media and many European media. The ultimate beneficiary of the biggest European media are American financial institutions. Don't you know that? So it is possible to get involved in this work, but it is cost prohibitive, so to speak. We can simply shine the spotlight on our sources of information, and we will not achieve results. It is clear to the whole world what happened, and even American analysts talk about it directly.
So the reality is, we still don't know. They're still investigating this. But it was, as Tucker points out, pretty much one of the biggest natural disasters to have ever happened. Somebody did actually engage in a very deliberate sabotage, and there are a lot of questions still as to who and why and how. And I mean, when you look at us, why would we do that? What were we trying to gain? This is the pipeline, of course, that fed natural gas between Europe and Russia. And why would Russia do it? I mean, if you think about it, why would Russia want to do that knowing that that it's not going to be able to get paid, right, to be able to ship that natural gas. I mean, we did have sanctions in place. We were turning off the spigot, so to speak. Meanwhile, why would Europe do it, right? They need to get that natural gas. There's a whole lot of questions. And so there's a lot of opaqueness, shall we say, around this issue still. I credit him with saying, hey, well, where's the evidence, right? Like, we need some evidence. And he kind of laughs it off. He's like, oh, yeah, it's just the U.S. And I don't buy that. I think if he has evidence, and maybe he does, and Tucker's right, like, this was a pretty big deal. You guys have a pretty sophisticated system here. Wouldn't you have that evidence? Maybe he doesn't want to come forward with it right now. Maybe like he's keeping that one up his sleeve. Maybe that's what Hillary Clinton was so worried about. Maybe that's what everybody was so worried about. I don't know.